Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you very much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now we're taking a look at the graph, which is GRT, and I get this requested a lot, and I've thankfully been able to get the opportunity to go ahead and cover it now. Appreciate your patience to my community when I know you've been requesting this for some time. Great news is there's a lot of volume, a lot of volatility right now. Price action is excellent. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the charts here. Again, there's no fundamentals. If you'd like to include that down below, feel free to reference that, but I don't need to really tell you much here about the fundamentals because they're actually really good. You should do your own research. This is a very good coin, actually. So big picture, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research. And also note that if you'd like to do less research, I have a signal group that provides you with 3 to 5 signals per week. And we have currently an 85% success rate. So it's been going very well. Thank you so much to my Patreon contributors. Link in the description below if you want to reference that. Also have a Telegram community that's really fantastic too. You can learn as much as you'd like and there's no cost there. All right, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at the graph. And what we do is we look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first. So if you're new to the channel, we just get a kind of a baseline of the market so we know specifically how this coin is being influenced. But more importantly, big picture, work our way down from the one-day chart to a smaller time frame just so we know exactly what's going on. Right? That's what you should do every time you make an investment, by the way. And we'll just take a look at Bitcoin first. And just to note too, this is TradingView desktop application. I use the 200-day simple moving average and the 50-day simple moving average, which is this yellow line here. And I use those because they're more effective in the larger time frames. The industry leaders and the whales and everyone else that's essentially controlling the market, so to speak, are using these same exact indicators. So it's important to get on board with them, right? The smartest trader is a trader that understands what they are doing at all times. Okay, so that's why we use that here. But generally speaking, what we're looking at here is Bitcoin. This is a 4-hour chart. And as we can tell, we have major support and resistance levels. We've got a support level at 30,000, another at 31,000 I do not have marked, 36,500, which is a most recent major resistance, as well as another major at 42,000, right? So we got a lot of room for growth, for lack of better terms. It's kind of an uphill battle, so to speak, but good news is we're up over the 50, and that is notoriously a pretty strong resistance and support level, so that is great news. Hopefully we can stay up over that and break the 200. So the goal is to essentially test 36,500 in the near future. Will it happen? Hard to say specifically, but I can tell you that we are looking, all in all, pretty good considering the fact that we are technically making higher highs so far on the 4-hour chart, right? So again, you kind of just mark this here. You'll see we've got the higher highs and the higher lows, and that's a really good sign, right? So we got that so far here at this point. Okay, so that's Bitcoin right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum is very similar to Bitcoin. Again, it's kind of mirroring Bitcoin in a sense. It had this really strong ramp up recently. That was likely just a recovery from being so low. RSI was almost 30, which is extremely low. For Ethereum, furthermore, we tested the 1700 the support level again, for a 4th time. So we've seen it tested quite a few times here. And good news is working as a support, so we shouldn't see the price action come anywhere lower than 1725, 1730. But we do have, a major resistance here at about 2300, so just keep that in mind. We're not out of the woods yet, but there is a major resistance at about 2900. And I get this question a lot, is Ethereum going to, break 2900 or come all the way upwards of about 4400? Well, 2900 is pretty likely. Again, it depends on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin can get over 36,500, start testing the 42,000 range, then absolutely Ethereum will come up here and probably break through 2900. It'll start getting a lot more momentum because it's typically the go-to coin when Bitcoin does poorly, right? So always pay attention to Ethereum and how it behaves when Bitcoin is either going sideways or down. Commonly, Ethereum will do something like this, where we see about like a 90% increase in a short amount of time when Bitcoin's going sideways, right? Bitcoin went sideways this entire time right here, and Ethereum took off. So it could very well happen again. That's why I like to look at Ethereum as well. So let's look at the graph. So graph, GRT, this has been one of my favorites actually. Thankfully I caught one of the previous spikes, so of course it's easy to say it's one of my favorites. Everyone likes the coins when they're performing the way that they want, right? Well, either way, it's got good fundamentals. Check that out in your own time. But the bottom line here is that on the one-day chart, we are seeing the price is still under the 50-day moving average. Okay. Now, bear in mind, we don't have the 200 on this chart just because this is the Binance chart and they have been following it a lot less. It was introduced to Binance back in December, but it's been around a lot longer. But needless to say, nonetheless, we don't really need the 200 on the one-day chart personally, because I think it's more effective on the 4-hour. We'll look at that next. But at this point in time, the RSI is pretty low. We're right at 50. That's a good sign. And we have not a lot of movement on the MACD, which is perfectly fine as well. Pretty standard for this consolidation period, but we are seeing some increase here recently. May not seem like a lot, but that is actually a pretty strong increase here from the graph. So let's take a look here. So in the last 2 days, we've got 25, upwards of 26% growth in 2 days. That's quite a lot when you think about it. It may not seem like much compared to its previous growth, considering the fact that this one day it went up about 150% in one day. Yeah, that was pretty impressive. All right, so looking at the 4-hour chart, let's just take a quick look here. Now, this is the thing that's impressive. Currently, the price is above and trending above the 200-day moving average. That is great news. As you can see, it broke above, and when it holds above and closes in that candle, that's when you know that it essentially broke, right? So don't ever consider a resistance or support level broken until that candle closes. But on the 4-hour chart, this is kind of the most effective time frame for this. The 200 is essentially working as a support level now. The 50 was kind of a bit of both. It was support and resistance for some time, but now it's working as a support. So on all good stuff here, and we also see an increase in volume here as well. RSI is up over 70, nothing to concern ourselves with because it just broke. I try not to overreact when the price action gets up over 70 on the RSI. It just basically means you want to pay attention to it. Okay, just kind of an indication that, oh, okay, it may come back down, but it will hopefully just continue to, the RSI will slowly progress down, whereas the price will just go sideways for a little bit. More consolidation gives more room for growth for another bull run. Right, so that's kind of what we're looking at for the graph on the 4-hour chart. Not much else to really note. I mean, we could look at the MACD. It did, it did swing upward. Here we had this nice convergence, and where was that? That was roughly right about this point. So something to note on the 4-hour chart, if you see this right here, this little line, that put us right approximately right here. So as soon as the price broke up over the 50-day moving average, we saw it continue to increase. So that's something to be mindful of. If you're a swing trader, always bear in mind that when you have a price action that is converging, so to speak, you got the convergence on the MACD. That's this guy right here. So as soon as the price action comes up, the 12 intersects with the 26 on the MACD, that is a cause for significant consideration of taking entry. And another reason why you want to consider taking entry in this case is because look at how low the price is. The price is so extremely oversold that there's much more room for growth, not only on the RSI, but when the MACD swings upwards like that, there's a strong indication of a buy signal, especially for those who are planning to do swing trades, right? So if you're like a short-term swing trader and or just a hodler, these are really excellent things to pay attention to. I think majority of you, my community, are, and that's something just to note. So when you see the MACD cross and the price action jump up over the 50 on the 4-hour chart, instant buy signal, okay? Again, it's not the only signal you go for, but that's a pretty strong indication that everything's moving the way that it is. And look at that, had you taken entry right there, that would have been a good, 24-hour, 20% increase for you. It's pretty solid. I mean, any kind of increase over, 5% is awesome, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that's great. And I'm gonna go ahead and probably set an alert here for the graph moving forward for my signal group to kind of pay closer attention because this thing does have a lot more room for growth. All right, so let's take a quick look at the 1-hour chart. And what we do is we take just a peek at the Ichimoku Cloud. This is kind of goes without saying. You can see the price is over the cloud right now. So that just, again, tells us that's another indication of a buy signal. And look at this. Here's an interesting coincidence. No less than, 15 to 30 minutes, the price broke above the cloud at the same exact time the MACD had notified us that it's intersecting, converging on the 4-hour chart. That to me is awesome because the fact that this happens all the time. So if you're going to kind of compare the two and you're like, okay, great, do I take entry? And you see the 4-hour chart telling us that the MACD is essentially converging upwards, and we have a long period of consolidation. And then you look at the 1-hour chart on the Ichimoku Cloud and you see that it's breaking above. Absolute buy signal, okay? So Really, really good stuff. I know in retrospect it's easy to identify, but I can tell you that these are things you want to look for. Okay, so that would have been an awesome, again, instant 20% increase right there. All right, looking at the 15, let's just go ahead and see if we can identify a good entry point here for us. Because, I always look at the EMA and the VWAP lines for this. And if you're new to the channel, the EMA is the exponential moving average. It's better on smaller time frames. And essentially, I use the 15, right? Because it responds to the price action. So when the price is above, I'll go ahead and remove these here. The price is above the EMA line, this red line here, it's considered bullish, and when it's under, it's considered bearish. What we do is you pay attention to how it bounces. So if you just say you take an entry right back here, where I've got my notification signals telling me to take entry, you would write it up, you'd see how it works, and then when it goes sideways here and it responds to the EMA, and it continues upwards like this, that's a consideration to either add to your position, or that just generally speaking, the bulls are in control, okay? Then when it comes up here and you see the RSI is up over 70, starts coming back down, that's when you consider trimming your position. So you probably want to exit your position right around here. Okay. Then you look for another buy signal. As soon as the price comes up over EMA and VWAP right here, you got these two solid green bars. You take entry here, price comes over, bounces off EMA, add to your position, and it keeps going up. That's kind of how I approach something like this when I'm paying attention to it. So again, look for confirmation, and in retrospect here, we look at this guy here, that is confirmation, because I have my notification signals here telling me with these yellow carrots, basically telling us that, hey, this is the confirmation that I like to look for. I get 30 minutes of confirmation above EMA and VWAP to essentially be able to tell me that we're in pretty good shape. That's kind of a consideration for entry. Doesn't always work out that way, because again, consolidation periods here can be kind of deceiving. When the price stays above the EMA and it starts bouncing like you see here, really strong indication of a buy signal. So that's kind of what I like to look for. So as far as a good entry point right now, I would still say that we are looking at a pretty good, a nice solid entry point. In other words, as you can tell, you see the price is going sideways right now, but it's still staying over EMA. It's a strong indication of the fact that the bulls are still in control. It might start to kind of taper down and come back up, but the bottom line is that we're up over VWAP and we're up over EMA right now. Those are all good signs currently at this point. Okay, see the RSI has calmed down a little bit more as well, even though we have a divergence here from the MACD. That doesn't matter. Don't even worry about that, because on the 15-minute chart, it doesn't really help us a lot. The MACD, again, is better on larger time frames. Okay. So to me, I would say, at this point, still a good entry. I don't think you're too late to the party here. And that the main reason why I say that is because you look at the big picture here. I mean, geez, look at how much room for potential this thing has. Okay, so its average true range, as you can tell, it kind of hung out up here for quite some time. I would say $1.20 upwards of $1.98, maybe $2. Again, an 80-cent range here, a channel that it was in for some time until it broke, and big surprise, May 19th, China candle, just destroyed all sorts of coins. Okay, so to me, a price under 70 cents is extremely affordable for the graph, and I do think that it is a good consideration for a swing trade. As far as day trading, you might not get a lot more out of this right now. It probably will go sideways for a little bit, but I do think it's going to increase and has much more potential. Just bear in mind there is a resistance level at roughly 97 cents. Should have marked that sooner, but that is kind of where we're at. So hopefully you found benefit from this. If so, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Reference my Telegram community, as well as my Patreon if you'd like to go ahead and maybe consider getting some signals, because I send 3 to 5 signals per week to my group, and I tell you, got a really good, awesome set of folks there. Thank you so much to everyone that's supporting the channel. You're all very wonderful. I really appreciate you. So thank you again. Hope you all have a good rest of your day. We'll see you next video. Take care.